The Madison Police Department is investigating several officers for comments they made on the job and on work computers.
Of course, this comes after an internal investigation into Officer Stephen Heimsness. News 3's Danica Lewis has the latest on the chief's call to fire the officer.
Well, Michelle and Eric, at least some of these new investigations are linked to Heimsness. Madison police won't say who these other officers are or what they do, but we do know some of them could be in trouble for conversations with the officer who's been on leave for nearly 8 months for a deadly shooting.
How can you forgive? How can you start healing?
Just a few steps from the sidewalk.
Paulie was killed 12 feet from me, right here.
Marlene Pearson says she and her neighbors can't trust the force anymore, especially after reading Chief Wray's complaint to the Police and Fire Commission.
Give me a break.
With no mention of Officer Stephen Heimsness pulling the trigger and killing an unarmed Paul Heenan on November 9th.
Like maybe this is just the way for the police department to get the heat off their back, get rid of Heimsness on this other stuff. But it's almost incredulous to think, if you read the whole report, that this has nothing to do with his judgment that night.
That night aside, Chief Wray wants Heimsness off the force, mostly for inappropriate messages sent on work computers.
From the PFC perspective, this is another case.
Another case Scott Herrick says will likely take months to get through. As head of the PFC, he's responsible for serving Heimsness or his attorney with the complaint, and that still hasn't happened yet. Then begins the hearing, conducted much like a circuit court case, with evidence, and the commissioners acting as the judge and jury.
It's supposed to provide some degree of public knowledge and confidence that things are being done, and we hope that that is true.
But with 58 pages and no words about the shooting, Pearson says a decision does nothing for the department.
It's really hard to forgive when there's no acknowledgement on the other part that anything was wrong.
Now, there is another complaint from neighbors filed to the PFC, that one about the night Heimsness shot and killed Paul Heenan. Neighbors are waiting on the mayor's reaction to all of this as well. Soglin promised comment on the officer-involved shooting once the department's internal investigations wrapped up, but he was out of town today.
Now, Danica, do we know anything about Officer Heimsness and his representation at this hearing?
Right now, actually not. The PFC has heard nothing on that front. We tried touching base with the union, who refused to comment on the case at this point. Again, the department confirms Heimsness remains on paid administrative leave at this time. Certainly a story we will continue to cover.
Absolutely. Thanks, Danica.
Sure thing.